Hey guys, Josh here, and last week, 4 developers from Singularity 6, the studio behind Palia, along with host Trisha Hirschberger, presented the Palia official gameplay first look, a full hour and 15 minutes dedicated to showing us this upcoming PC and Switch live sim MMO. Even though an hour 15 seems pretty long, if you're interested in this game, it's definitely fun to watch, so I'll put the link in the description if you want. But I watched it, I took some notes, and in this video, I'll discuss all of the most interesting things that I learned during the presentation. The first thing that I learned right away is that the name of the game is actually pronounced Palia and not Palia. I had been pronouncing it Palia since the very first time I heard of this game. Let me know if you did the same mistake, but now I know it's Palia, which will take me some time to get used to, but I'll do my best to get it right at least throughout this video. That aside, one of the first things that they showed was the housing plot, and it has pretty interesting features. So by exiting Kilima, which is the town where you'll find most NPCs and shops, you will have access to your very own housing plot, an entirely customizable area where you'll get to build and decorate your house, craft new furniture, as well as grow some crops. After clearing the space of some of the rocks and trees at the beginning of the game, you'll have to craft and place a tent, which you'll eventually be able to replace with a proper house, add more rooms, and customize it however you'd like. Building things like new rooms will take some real-world time. For example, during the presentation, they started building a small room, which had a craft time of 4 hours. The game will also have auto-crafters required for transforming materials like cotton into fabric, and those will take about 5 to 10 minutes per item, which I imagine can add up pretty quickly. But as far as I know, these are the only 2 things that will require real-world time. That being said, of course, you can do other things in the meantime, and I hope that those crafting times won't become too annoying. Except for the waiting part, customizing and decorating your plot in Palia should be very easy and convenient, as you can either do it in the third-person view or in a top-down perspective, which will allow you to get a better view of your whole plot and easily move around bigger objects, and that is something I wish more games had. While in this top-down view, I also noticed some fields were locked all around the plot, so it looks like you'll eventually have the option to unlock new areas and make it bigger, with a maximum size that seems quite large. Not only that, but the developers have confirmed that you will be able to have multiple plots. They have not said a specific number, but they said it was definitely more than 2. This means that if you feel creative and have lots of different ideas, you will be able to bring all of them to life on different plots. For example, if you want 2 houses with different styles, or 1 house that you built with your friends and another one that you built by yourself, or maybe you can have 1 plot just for farming and 1 for your house if you like to separate things. We don't have the details as to how these additional plots will work, and personally I think I'll most likely just stick to 1, but it's nice to see we'll have plenty of options. Also, for each of these housing plots, you will be able to set different permissions. For example, if you want to allow specific friends to help you decorate on just one of your plots, that is something you will be able to do. By default, however, other players will not be able to edit anything on your plot, so you won't have to worry about your things getting stolen or destroyed. I'm really looking forward to decorating with friends, and you can tell that the developers put a lot of thought into making Palia a great multiplayer experience. After all, the game has been developed from the start with multiplayer in mind. Of course, you can play and enjoy the game by yourself, but everything is better with a group as it comes with a lot of bonuses. For example, when you go out collecting resources, everyone who participates will get rewarded. In some games, if you cut a tree with a friend, it might be faster and more fun than by yourself, but often, only one of you will get the wood, kind of taking away from the other player. In Palia, as long as you participate in an activity, you will all be rewarded equally, so if you both worked on cutting the tree, you will both get the wood. And it's the same for most activities, so for example, if you go hunting and try to shoot an arrow at a creature but you fail, and then your friend manages to hit the creature, then you will both get rewards for the hunt. For fishing, if you fish near other players, all of you will get a buff. And I'm not sure whether or not this actually does something in terms of gameplay, but the developers have said that you could also go up to a player who's struggling to fish and cheer them on to support them. Either way, it sounds like a fun way to add some interaction between the players, even if they don't know each other. On that note, I know it can be a bit hard sometimes to find friends in an online game. Usually I'm pretty shy and I just do my own thing, so I'm looking forward to seeing if the game will have any kind of systems or mechanics to help you find a group, so that it's easy for everyone to enjoy the benefits of playing with others without feeling left out. And if you can't find any friends, well, I hope you will join me as I will definitely be playing this game a lot, and maybe we can do a little fishing party together. Speaking of fishing, the developers have said that the fishing mechanic in Palia will be easy to learn but hard to master, which personally I think is the best way to do a fishing mechanic. Too easy can be boring, and too difficult can be a turnoff for many players, so it seems like they've tried to come up with just the right balance. The goal will be to move left and right in order to keep the fish between the two green lines, and for most common fish, this shouldn't be too difficult, but later on in game you will encounter star quality fish, which are more rare and valuable varieties that can be used as trophies to decorate your house, and those will be a lot more challenging to catch, requiring you to become more experienced or to have friends cheering you on. And even if you don't like the idea of fishing, it's okay because Palia was developed with freedom in mind, letting the players enjoy the game in their own way without punishing them. There are 8 different skills like fishing, cooking, gardening, hunting, crafting, and more, and it will be really up to you if you want to be a jack of all trades or to specialize in just 1 or 2 skills, but there's always going to be alternative ways to obtain something. So for example, by trading with other players or visiting shops. So the game won't force you to partake in specific activities, and you'll really be able to decide what you'd like to spend time on. So if you only want to be farming and trade all of your crops for everything else, that is something you will be able to do. I think this is great, and it could be very interesting when playing with a group of friends if everybody had their own specialty and you could all help each other out with what you're good at. As for me, I think my specialty and one thing I'll probably be spending a lot of time on will be gardening. While on your housing plot, you will be able to place gardening plots, which will then have to till with the hoe, and I like the movement when tilling. It reminds me a little bit of Sakuna of Rice and Ruin, where you have to actually walk over the soil and you can till a bit more freely instead of just clicking on the different tiles. It just looks very relaxing. You will then plant the seed, water them, and harvest them. And while with most other activities, you will be able to work with friends to get buffs or more resources, it won't be the case with gardening, and only you will get to harvest the crops on your plot. Your friends will only be able to water them. So for that reason, I guess gardening will probably be a good activity to do while you're playing solo or just waiting for your friends to arrive. One interesting feature is that some crops will get buffs while next to other specific crops. For example, tomatoes next to carrots. So there will be an incentive to think about how to place your crops strategically to get the most out of them, which we don't see in enough farming games. Of course, if you want, you'll still have the freedom to place crops however you want, and you won't be penalized for it. So if you want to keep things simple, that is definitely something you will be able to do as well. And as with any good farming game, crops will have to be watered one by one at first, but as you increase your gardening skills, you will be able to craft a more efficient watering can that covers a wider area. And the same is true for all different tools. So the more you do a certain activity, the easier it will become. Your crops can then be used for cooking, which is divided into multiple minigames, such as chopping, stirring, flipping, and rolling, depending on the recipe. And once again, one fun thing is that it can be enjoyed with friends, where you each do one part of the cooking for more efficiency. Food will be used to fill up your focus meter, which is found in the top left corner of the screen. And contrary to a lot of online games, you will be able to do things even if your focus meter is empty. So even if you don't have any food left, you'll still be able to enjoy the game. However, having focus will reward you with more experience. So it definitely sounds like a good idea to cook and eat regularly. So far, one thing that looks very promising with Palia is how it will reward players with buffs and bonuses by doing certain things like cooking regularly, playing with friends, or planting crops a certain way, but it does not seem like it will punish you if you just want to play your own way. Now, let's talk about a lot of people's favorite feature, relationships. Not only will you be able to play Palia with online friends, you will also be able to make friends with a wide variety of NPCs, which you can keep track of through a convenient relationship tracker. To increase your friendships, you'll be able to talk to an NPC every Palian day, which is 1 hour in real time, and you'll be able to give them a gift once every real world day. Every NPC will have specific items that they would like to receive, but what's interesting is that those will change every week, as opposed to always being the same as in most games. This means that every week you'll have to find out what someone wants, and sometimes they will tell you, or other NPCs will tell you as well, and once you find out what they want, those things will be listed in the relationship tracker until they reset the following week. I think this is quite interesting and will make the relationships a bit more interesting and challenging. As you level up your friendship, you will unlock a few things which, based on the icons, look like the ability to enter their room or maybe their house, and some new furniture, but you will also get to learn more about the character's story, and while most of the stories are purely friendship-based, there will also be an option to romance some of the characters. Those romanceable characters can be distinguished by a second bar right underneath the friendship bar, and once again, since it will be a live service game, more characters could be made romanceable in the future. During the beta version of the game, you won't be able to go further than the courting stage, and you can court as many characters as you'd like, but in later versions of the game, you will be able to wear a pin to signal that you're in a romantic relationship with a certain character, and when you talk to other villagers, they will make comments on it. Actually, you will be able to wear up to 2 pins, so if you want to get involved in a relationship with 2 characters, that is something you will be able to do. I really like how there's a vast cast of characters from different races with different features and personalities, and I think it will be a lot of fun getting to know all of these characters. I'm also hoping that the dialogues will evolve with the game, which would prevent an issue a lot of games have, where characters always say the same things. Some things that are for sure confirmed to evolve with the game will be the adventure zones. During the presentation, they showed us Bahari Bay, the first one of these adventure zones that will be available at launch. When you exit Kilima, you will be able to go there and explore on a larger scale using your glider. You'll be able to gather more resources, find hidden boxes, and just spend some time with other players. To keep things interesting, not only are they planning to add more adventure zones in the future, but these zones will evolve. So for example, if a door is closed in Bahari Bay when the game launches, maybe when you return to it a few months later, that door could be open, giving you more to explore and of course an incentive to check out the different zones regularly for new surprises. We'll see how often these adventure zones get added and updated, but I'm glad to hear that we'll have more than just the town and the housing plot, and I can't wait to explore the whole world of Palia. Lastly, let's address the format and monetization of the game. Palia will be free to play for both Switch and PC, and as it was pointed out multiple times during this video, it will be a live service game, meaning that it will be continuously receiving updates in order to make the experience more enjoyable, and so far it seems like the team have been really receptive to the players' feedback during the alpha, so hopefully it continues that way for the future. However, as many of us know, free-to-play online games can sometimes slowly become pay-to-win, whereas yes, you can play for free, but at a certain point you feel limited in what you can do because there's a strong incentive to spend real-world money to refill your energy, get better equipment, or access certain features. With Palia, developers have confirmed that it will not be pay-to-win, and the only things that can be purchased with real-world money will be cosmetics, and during the presentation, they showed the clothing store where a wide variety of outfits could be bought with their premium currency, but those will not affect your stats, and the game does offer an already good selection of free outfits when you create your character. This should allow everybody to enjoy the game no matter their financial situation, and someone's gameplay experience should not be affected negatively if they do not spend money on Palia. I really hope it stays that way. I'm also very curious to see how much these outfits will cost, as I might buy some if they're reasonably priced, and let me know in the comments if you like free-to-play games. What do you think of this model, and would you maybe prefer an experience where you just paid upfront instead? But that's pretty much it for the most interesting things I learned during the Palia official gameplay first look. Did I miss anything that you found interesting? Are you excited for this game? If you are, you can sign up at palia.com to get a chance to join the closed beta that starts on August 2nd. And if you don't make it for the closed beta, don't worry, the open beta will start just a bit later on August 10th, and at that time, everyone will be able to play the game on PC. Palia will also release for Switch during the holiday season, and the developers are planning to add crossplay and cross-progression, so you should be able to start on PC and then continue on the Switch later if you want, or play with friends that are on a different platform. Let me know what you think of Palia. I can't wait to play this game with all of you. Leave a like and subscribe if you'd like to see more content like this, and I'll see you all in the next video.